A very good evening to all our viewers. Welcome to Monday's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Teban Jabala, your host. Let's look at some of the headlines in Tuesday's edition of Namibian Sun. Governors demands Ampanda proof on City of Windhoek CEO appointment. We are told that the mayor has demanded evidence from her predecessor, Job Ampanda, who said that the appointment of the CEO at the city of Windhoek is being delayed because the candidates belong to the ruling party, Swapo. Angala demands nullification of SPYL endorsements. That is Timotheus Angala, who wanted to stand for the position of secretary, but it looks as if he did not make it to that stage, and he is now seeking the party's leadership to intervene and nullify the endorsement of Ephraim Nekongo and his deputy, Christine Haindaka. And the last one is Namibian students in Russia are suffering under sanctions. We now know that because of the Russian war in Ukraine, that some services have been suspended, such as visa, it's not credit card services have been suspended so much that some people can no longer access their finances, and Namibian students are caught in that storm. Tonight on the show, we are joined by a young and energetic young man. His name is Fillemon Shikomba, who is has made his intentions very clear recently that he wants to stand for the position of secretary for the Swapo Party Youth League, and he is here tonight to explain why. Fillemon, thank you very much for making time.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's terrible. I'm very excited to be here.
Wonderful. I mean, you surprised a lot of us, not because we do not think that you can stand for the position of secretary for the Youth League, but perhaps because it's not something that we saw coming. That's why people like myself, when I saw your pronouncements on social media that you wanted to stand for this position, I thought maybe it was just the usual fire Shikomba on Twitter. Right. So you're taking it serious?
I am taking it serious. I believe that there is room for young people in our country's leadership, and then we are the ones to make ourselves available for leadership. As much as it's not anticipated, I think it's time now. It's time for young people to join in, and I implore on all other young people to be open to leadership.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Is it something that was a long time coming, or you just saw an opportunity in this thing and say, look, I'm going to avail myself?
No, I've been contemplating on this for a very long time because, being involved in the affairs of the Youth League for a while, I know what is lacking in leadership, and I know what I can bring to the table. So I've been building myself over the years to see where I can, access and contribute. So it's something that I've been working on for a very long time. It's not something that I just woke up and hop onto.
Yeah. When you say that you've been sort of preparing yourself for that, in what way? Maybe tell us about, for example, your background, maybe academically and also in the space of politics.
Academically, I've been in Russia for 5 years. That's where I did my bachelor's degree. And then immediately after that, I went to the US to do my master's degree in law. Professionally, I'm a lawyer. And I've been taking a lot of side activities to improve my leadership skills, like the Mandela Washington for young African leaders. It's a very powerful platform for young people to improve on their leadership skills. I've also taken part in the African Union Youth Volunteers Program, where the AU selects young people to be placed in a different country and learn about situation in those countries. So I've been preparing myself, and I've been exploring so many spaces to grow as a person and understand the world around me. And, you know, studying in Russia, studying in America, and then working in an African country, I believe I have a combined experience which consists of Europe, America, and Africa. So I have a clear understanding of how the world functions.
Yeah. And in the political sense, what is your background, especially in youth politics and stuff like that?
You know,
or are you a complete outsider?
No, I am not new to the conversation of politics at all. Since 2012, I've been following political discourse. I've had, you know, radical conversation, and I've stood up for the party so many times. You know, everybody who knows me or who got to know me nowadays, they knew me as somebody who stood up for the party, even in the most difficult times. So I remember last Congress, we attended the Oshikoto Regional Conference where we facilitated, you know. I volunteered to be there to see and learn how things work, you know, and I serve at my branch and I serve at my district. I served in those spaces. And we were able to, I remember there was a time I actually served on the Oshikoto Fundraising Committee where we wanted to raise funds for the region because I attended one of the party meetings, you know, the Youth League meetings, and I observed that Omuthia Youth League did not have, you know, enough resources. Let's say we have a function or we have an activity to empower young people. There were no resources, so I was hoping to embark on a fundraising opportunity. So I've been involved in the activities of the Youth League from my region, from my district, and in the party in general.
Now, politics, Fillemon, is about, especially in elective processes, is about having a block of your own, you know, people who sort of rally behind you, whether it's in campaigns or resources or actual voting. In your case, do you think you have people in that regard who will back you up, even at the voting booth?
Absolutely. You know, I'm a very disciplined person, especially when people encounter me on a personal level. Those who know me can attest to that. I have a network of friends and people who see my leadership and encourages it. As much as I'm not going to disclose their names right now, I definitely believe and know that I have a strong team behind me, and they are ready to see that we work hard. You know, I'm open to working really hard. I'm not just hopping on this opportunity because, you know, I think it will be handed over to me or it's because it's going to be easy for me. No, I have a team of committed, you know, comrades and friends who are willing to come together, you know, and see value in this. They see value in what I have to bring to the table, and they are supporting me. So I do have a strong backing.
Wonderful. Give me a sense of so of course to avail oneself for a platform like that is a good thing, but is it strictly a question of you just availing yourself, or is because you see some deficiencies in the current leadership and you think you can do better than them?
I wouldn't necessarily think that I'm better than other people, but I know Comrade Nekongo has delivered to his own extent. You know, he's done well in spaces that he did. He's a very talented farmer, and he did very well in that space. And a lot of young people can learn from him. You know, I've seen his post. He was cabbage today, and that, you know, has inspired young people to venture into agriculture. You know, he would do well maybe as a Minister of Agriculture. I believe he has something to bring to the table. Though, you know, looking at various organizations, political spaces, and student unions are more visible now, more than a ruling party youth wing. You know, I would like to see a youth league that is leading national discourse. That is why I want to return Swapo Youth League to its days of glory. You know, I don't want, you know, LPM and PDM youth to be leading the national discourse. It's not supposed to be like that. Swapo is the ruling party. You know, the youth wing has access to resources. It has access to national leadership. They should be able to use that proximity to lead, to be visible, to be at the forefront, you know. And also I've taken note, you know, of certain remarks that, you know, some young leaders uttered on, for example, social media, when it comes to the general's remarks on killing people who are not part of the party. And then you find a young person from the Youth League endorsing such remarks. That's a very dangerous behavior. It does not reflect leadership. But, you know, as young people who are in leadership, we need to be very conscious on how we speak. We need to speak in a language that inspires young Namibians. You know, for so long, you know, we've seen how young people are mute on situations like corruption, you know, where young leaders have been involved in corruption and they have never come clear to stand up against corruption. You know, we want authentic leadership. We want leadership that is confident to stand up and make a stand and say that we are not going to tolerate corruption. You know, we are going to set ourselves aside and stand strong as young people, you know, in defense of, you know, clear leadership, you know. So I am looking forward to a youth league that inspires young people, because if you have seen in recent times, young people are marginalized from the ruling party, so many of them. And as somebody who has somewhat a voice, either on social media or in the country because of my work, I think I can be able to encourage young people with my voice to join. You know, I can command an ear to listen to what I have to say. And I think young people deserve such a young person who can say something and they would like to listen, you know.
Before we go for a break, Fillemon, you said something very interesting there about how organizations like NANSO have sort of now accept the Youth League. For a long time, why do you think that is the case? Because I remember there were even conflicts that, as a matter of fact, let me not even talk about the conflict. We can even talk about the appointments that we've seen happening in recent years of particularly young people to parliament, the presidential appointments of the likes of Emma Teofeles, Patience Masua. They are coming from NANSO. And there's this belief that traditionally this has always gone through the Youth League. Do you think that is an indictment on the leadership, or how flat the leadership is, or the pool of talent is in this current Youth League?
Yeah, firstly, I would like to acknowledge the president, you know, for appointing Comrade Nekongo to parliament, you know, today. I read that in the papers. I think that is a very powerful move from the president. I really appreciate his thought for constantly looking out for young people and including them. Of course, Nekongo deserves to go to parliament, and I hope he grows into parliament to serve in a different capacity, you know. But looking at the previous appointments, it is indeed a valid question, and it's concerning to know that we have so many young people who served in political campaign, who stood up for the, you know, leaders of the party in various ways, and then they didn't make it to parliament. When you have young people like Emma and Patience who are definitely doing well in parliament, and I believe that is why they are there, because they have a voice, they are visible, and that level of intellectualism lacks in the current leadership of our Youth League. And I think, you know, leaders who appoint people see the need to appoint people who can speak, people who can represent well. And I think that our Youth League has not really been living up to its mandate. And I think that is why people were not able to see it. And it's not only the president who does not see that. Even the general public knows and feels that, you know, some comrades cannot stand up to a platform and engage formally on a subject. They do not understand the context of what's going on, you know, politically in the world right now. You ask a comrade, what do you think of the situation in Russia and Ukraine? They won't be able to answer this question with, you know, decency. And I think that is a real thing. You know, we need people who understand what they are doing in their positions.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. We go for a quick break and return with Fillemon Shikomba, sorry. We continue with Fillemon. Now, I find it, I'm meeting you for the first time, and you come across as a completely different person from the naughty boy that is on social media, and perhaps it's important. That's why platforms like this are important for people also to have a snippet of their own of you and make that conclusion. You spoke about having stood up for the party. You spoke about having stood up for party leaders. What does that mean? Are you a leader that will be able to break rank with a particular leader of the state or of the party on a particular issue? To say, Mr. President, here we are not with you. Mrs. Minister, here we do not agree with you. Is that the kind of leadership that you bring, or is it the viva viva kind of politics?
No, I do not, you know, do well with the viva viva politics, and that much is very clear. You know, with my naughtiness on social media, I've been very clear on certain, you know, appointees of government who have used their positions, especially representative of young people, who use their positions to try and advance themselves. As much as I am able to sit at the same table with them yesterday, I'm also able to call them out today when they are not living up to their mandate. Yeah, I mean, that I'm not going to mention anybody's name, but there are many examples, you know. For example, you know, I'm going to throw this in. You know, for example, the presidential youth advisor, you know, I acknowledge when she do well. I've done that publicly. But when she applied for a scholarship, for a US government scholarship, and she's a person who is very well funded. She can afford her tuition at any given opportunity. But when she uses her proximity and her influence to access an opportunity that a less privileged person could have accessed, I was very comfortable with calling her out for that behavior. And I'll be very open to do the same with any other public official who does not live up to their mandate. So I am very open. I'm not about the viva viva politics. It's not going to be business as usual. It's going to be me living up to the mandate of leadership, me representing the Namibian young people who serve the party, you know? I'm not going to be there clapping my hands like people say. No. No.
It's interesting. I'm asking this question, Fillemon, because, you know, in my younger days as a reporter, if we were told that there's a Swapo Party Youth League press conference, we scrambled for that in the newsroom. Everybody saying, I'm the one going, because we wanted to be on the front page as reporters, as ambitious young reporters, because, I mean, any reporter that is worth his salt wants to be on the front page. And you knew that these press conferences used to be gold because they would address issues, they will commend government where things have been done correctly, they will call out the opposition where things where there are unwarranted attacks, but they also called out the leadership of the party or the government, commanded government to do certain things. So it was always very exciting. That spark has died. Is that some sort of energy that you want to bring to the Youth League if you were elected?
Yeah, if I am elected as secretary, I am going to bring back a leadership that knows that right is right, wrong is wrong. A leadership that is open to correcting to our party. You know, I know leadership is imperfect in its setting, and people are bound to make mistakes in their deliveries. I should be able to say that, of course, we've made wrong at this point, but it's also possible for us to redirect ourselves back to the right path. I know it's possible for the Youth League, you know, I know it's possible for the party. And I think the more young people make themselves available for leadership to stand up for what is right, the more we are going to see good politics in our country. It's possible for us to have good leaders. It's possible for us to have leaders who are standing up for what is right, you know. And, you know, your previous question, I didn't quite touch it very well, where you spoke about, you know, how I stood up for the party. For example, I was an avid opponent of Job Mpanda, who I also acknowledge has done well in so many areas of his career as an activist. He has done a great job in mobilizing young people, and I acknowledge that. You know, as much as I think he was very harsh with the words that he used towards the elders, I acknowledge that Job Mpanda has spotlighted issues that are affecting young people, and I would incorporate that aspect of his quality in my own journey, you know, as a leader, because that is a good quality about Job. You know, I could use that in my own journey to empower young people, to draw young people back to the party. There are good things about the people we don't agree with, you know. And, you know, that is how I stood up for the party. For example, against the constant attack from people like Job and his movement, you know. So those are the times. It was really hard, you know, because it was a political time where people are scrambling for political votes and causing division with their views. As much as some of them were correct, it was still a political activity that was not proper.
One of the things that were raised at the Swapo Party, at the SPYL Central Committee meeting recently, where Mr. Nekongo and Mr. Haindaka were endorsed, was issues of legitimacy. How does one become a candidate, you know, the entry point towards that. In your case, do you qualify, in general terms, do you qualify technically to become a candidate?
Yeah, I will tell you, you know, when you are nominated from a branch and then you are sent to the district, and then there are branches in your district that nominate you, you can go to Congress. I am a well-paid up member. I've been a member of the party for more than 10 years. You know, I don't understand why I am not qualified. You know, and the issue of endorsement is quite, you know, interesting. It's quite concerning. And what I can actually send out is that, you know, if people are going to do anything that is unconstitutional, there are reasons why we were, you know, privileged to have access to understanding the law. The law allows people to contest what is unconstitutional. So if anybody peddles on an unconstitutional behavior, we are going to contest that in a, you know, in a court of law. That is what I want to put out there. You know, so the question on the endorsements, I think they are not, they are illegal. You cannot endorse people when people are not yet done with the renewal of mandates or done with the, you know, with the district and branch conferences. It does not make sense. What is the essence of Congress if now the Central Committee has to make a determination on behalf of the people? Who are we serving? The people or the Central Committee? So whose interests are we serving? The interests of the people. So it does not make sense for a Central Committee that is up for elections to make a determination for a new Central Committee that will be elected at Congress. Does it make sense? Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
The final question, briefly, in the interest of time, Fillemon, is then the Congress of the mother party. Who are you putting your money on?
I am, you know, at this point, I'm very open to good leadership, you know. I'm very open to reflecting on whoever the party decides on. And I will support good leadership, you know. Good leadership exists in Swapo. You know, we have quality leaders who served our country during the war, and we've seen how our country evolved to today. And I'm open to supporting any leader who has, you know, indicated good leadership in their being, who is not tainted by corruption. you know, especially not tainted by corruption. That is going to be my standard. If a leader is involved in corruption, I don't think I'll be able to stand up for them or give them my voice. No, I'm very much anti-corruption.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fillemon, thank you very much for coming to the show.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. That is Fillemon Shikomba. He is pushing for candidacy for SPYL secretary, and those are his views and reasons for standing up for the youth. Thank you for watching, and good night.